Welcome to the Audiophile Barista's weekly vlog where I talk about audio, coffee and other things that keep me busy. Today is a rainy day in Rotterdam, so let's start by pouring some coffee. Today I am using again the Mocha Master. This is a wonderful machine and it was a while since I had used it, so today I'm using the black version. I also have a silver version that I still have to bring out for repairs, but this one is working. I have a nice big cup right over here, and let's see if I can make a shot and pour some coffee at the same time. So there you go. Let's have a little taste. Perfect cup of coffee. And today I am using this coffee, which is a medium roast. The bean is a yellow bourbon, and this is what I use for filtered coffee and not for espresso. And if you have a good roaster, they will tell you what the coffee that they have are best suited for. Now this, can you see that this has been roasted on the 8th of June, so just a few days ago. I have been telling you guys that the best supermarket coffee for me is from Lavazza, and I've been using it a lot lately, mainly because of lockdown and having to watch my finances, because roasted beans are more expensive. But what I want to say is that even though I always say Lavazza is the best supermarket coffee, and it is for me, now that I've once again tried real fresh roasted coffee beans, there is just no contest. This is always going to taste better, and provided of course that the one who is doing the roasting knows what they are doing. This is called Marantz, and they are situated in Rotterdam, so they are local, and well, I love their coffee. They have just a small selection, but they know everything of what they have, and they will tell you what it is, how it tastes, what it's best used for. And I found that their guidance is always spot on. So that's why I'm drinking freshly roasted coffee. And I really love it. Okay, so that's over coffee. Another thing that kept me busy this week was something that started at the beginning of this week, when my girlfriend told me that her amplifier, and she has this Marantz MCR611. Maybe you have seen the vlog that I did on her setup at her home. If you haven't, make sure to check out lockdown vlog number 15 to see what kind of system she has. But she has this one, and she had trouble programming in new radio stations. And I did some digging, and apparently there is this service, vTuner, that is providing a lot of companies with the servers to have internet radio on their equipment. And they have a very happy website still over here, but they had a lot of trouble. For example, if you look over here where they say who is using vTuner internet radio, well, Samsung names, so Pioneer, some of the big names. But in the recent time, other big names like Sonos, Sony, Bose, Yamaha and Marantz have had trouble with their servers, and many of those companies even went away, moved away from vTuner. So what was happening? Apparently vTuner is a service used by Marantz, so you can have internet radio on your receiver, and it stopped because now they want money for it. And the likes of Yamaha, they have changed from provider, so there's no extra cost for their customers, because as a customer of Marantz, I think this is a problem for Marantz. But what Marantz does is just lays down the problem at the customer, and now you have to pay a fee for every year in order to still be able to program in new radio stations, and only the stations that you already had programmed in, that's the stations that you still can play. But if you want to change the station and it is not in that list, it won't work unless you pay up. Now, this is a little bit of a rant, and not vTuner or Marantz is my aim, but this is maybe some of the things that internet, with everything that it has to offer. Of course, also the other side is that things like this can happen. They will give you a service for free, and because they made a mess last year, vTuner, and had problems with the Boses and the Yamahas, and everybody went away. So now they say, well, pay up, or you can't have any stations. Now I would say this is something that Marantz needs to address and change, because some of these other companies, they have changed their servers. Arable.radio is what they are using. Marantz just says, oh sorry, now you have to pay, and I believe that is all that they are doing. So that's a shame. Make sure to check out lockdown vlog number 15 to see the setup of my girlfriend. Another sip of coffee. Because I got some comments for you making coffee, and apparently you leave it standing, you don't drink anymore during the vlog, and then you have a cold cup of coffee. And yes, it is. Most of the time when I did say let's make some coffee, I made the coffee, and after the vlog I had to redo it because it was getting cold. So one more sip and then I let the rest go cold, and well, it's to give you something, you guys something to watch at. Okay, so what else is keeping me busy these days? Well, still, if you look at the room setup, there is this surround sound, one of the surround loudspeakers over there, and the other one over there. This is dialed in as best as I can get it to sound, and it is enjoyable, but really I am starting to miss my Auxilias. This is fine for movies. You can use it for stereo. I'm using the surround channels also for stereo, and it is very relaxed when you are watching something on the iPad. You're sitting here and you have the sound right next to you. That's very convenient, but this is not going to stay. I'm going to put this down in the smaller room that I will show you next again, and I can't wait for the stereo to get back. And watching a movie, because there's my big screen of course, watching a movie in stereo with those Auxilias is, well, that's much more what I prefer than having this surround sound set up and playing stereo. Now I know some of you have separate systems in one room. I am still contemplating on that, to have maybe two small Lin loudspeakers right over there and keep the surround sound and have two complete separate systems, surround and stereo. I know some of you are combining it. For me, especially not with this, well, this is a relative cheap amplifier, so it's not its fault, but especially with this amplifier, this is not very satisfying. Everything is relative of course, coming from my wonderful Oscillas. Okay, so let's go downstairs. There's some things that I want to show you. Oh yeah, you know, when I go down or up the stairs, I always have to walk right past the amount of subscribers that I have, and it is already 1040 and up, so thank you very much. Let's go down into this room. For those of you who are here for the first time, I have a room tour of this room. This is where I keep yes, everything. This is 40 years of being an audiophile. If you want to know more about this room, check out that video. But I was playing this morning this Nakamichi and playing a audio tape. It was Joe Jackson today. And there's something I want to tell, because this now is connected to two sets of loudspeakers. And for you who have been here regular, you already know this. I have these two white loudspeakers which are from Q-acoustics, and up there in the corners I have also two loudspeakers from Q-acoustics. These are smaller than the ones over there, and what I've done is I've connected all of them to the amplifier, and so I'm playing them, those two and those two, at the same time. I also did a video about how you can do that even if you only have one loudspeaker output on your amplifier. And having this, if you have a small room and small loudspeakers, get an extra set of loudspeakers and make a setup like this. If you are not a person that goes into the listening chair and being a dedicated listener, this will make a wonderful sound in your room. But the reason today that I want to talk about it, because I think I am going to sell these Q-acoustics. I love that they are white, they look beautiful. The stands that they are on are actually not for this loudspeaker, but they are for the smaller Q-acoustic loudspeakers. And I have tried some different amplifiers and different setups with these Q-acoustic loudspeakers, and I just don't get it to work in a way that I am satisfied with it. These apparently make a sound that I don't really like. It's a little bit too flat. The bass it sounds like a cheap paper bass trying to sound like a bass, but it's not really working. Even if when I do them all together, this is just not the sound that I like. And you know me, this is never a 10-minute decision with me, so I will try it with some more of the different amplifiers that I have. But until now, these did not impress me, unfortunately. And what I'm probably going to do is to have these Tannoy M2 and these Tannoys M1 and place them right over there. M2s over here, M1s right over there. And these have a much more pleasurable sound, or a sound that I like much more. And let's see how that sounds. Some other things that I want to show you, because in this room, I have all the equipment that I have gathered throughout the years, and I try to have everything working. Some of this stuff still needs to be repaired, and everything needs cables. So if you look over here, you see the two sets of, oh, I think I bumped the microphone, maybe you heard that. There's this two sets of loudspeaker cables going to all the Q-acoustic loudspeakers. From this amplifier it has speakers A, speakers B, and both are on at the moment, and this wonderful Nakamichi CR2, and I've been playing Joe Jackson today to give the loudspeakers another chance. And what I've been doing lately, buying secondhand, is some of the Audioquest cables. Now let me pick up some of this stuff. So before I had this is a Van de Hull the First. These came out a long time ago as a carbon fiber instead of a metal conductor construction. I love these. These have been in my possession for a very long time now. But they are two single wires. And this means that if you have a lot of wires behind that and everything is ×2, it gets really busy behind that. And that's not what I wanted. So what I did, I was looking at Audioquest cables. This is the evergreens, and as you can see, they are just one cable. So this is half the amount of cables, and that means that by using that, and if you look behind the loudspeaker cables on the left, you see the power cord coming from the amplifier, but in the middle right over there you can see there is another evergreen connecting the amplifier to the cassette deck. And I decided that by trying to scout on what we call Marktplaats, you will say Craigslist, to scout for people who are getting rid of these. I don't know why, I don't really care why, as long as they are working I'm fine with it, and I'm going to have everything replaced by these evergreens and half the amount of cables that I'm using. Also, yeah, this is here, so let me tell you about this. I had some of the Steelbooks. Now over here you see a Steelbook from The Dark Knight, Batman of course, and over here you see some Steelbooks or some Blu-rays with a slip cover. And what I wanted is to have my Steelbooks, because if you put them next together like this, they will scratch, because this metal will scratch easily. So what I did was I bought these things, and this is like a sort of plastic bag that you can use to, am I on the correct side? No, it's the other side. You can put your Steelbook in here, you take off the red strip and you can close it, you can seal it, and you can easily open it and reseal it if you want to use the Steelbook. And I just wanted that for a few, Blu-rays, but apparently these come in packages of 100 and they're very cheap. So now I'm also doing some of the DVDs that have a slipcover, which is mostly paper, cardbox, and some of them are not really high quality. So now some of these are also in a bag like that, and they are protected against damage. Not a big deal, but I like to keep You know, I've invested in all these things, even if I mostly buy second hand and try to do it all as cheap as possible. What I have is what I like to keep in good shape, and that's why I think after 40 years I still have all this equipment. It still all looks very nice, and most of it is still working because, you know, I take care of it. It's little things like this that happens once in a while, but normally my rule is a disc like this is either in its case or in the player, but not placed like this. I just place this here as an example. Okay, so more evergreen in my system to tidy up the cables a little bit. Okay, is there anything else here that I would like to talk to you guys about? I believe that is it. I have one more thing to tell you. 1040 subscribers. There's one more thing I want to tell you. I told you just to have a look at the system of my girlfriend to see what she has at her home. I have had one edition of a home visit video. You can look that back also. And tomorrow, today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and tomorrow I will have the second home visit ready, and I will upload it tomorrow. So make sure to check in again tomorrow and have a look at a very nice system from a big Beatles fan. So that's just a little announcement. Okay, so it appears to be dry now in Rotterdam. This is what I have for today, and I'll see you next week. As I said last week, there is not a specific day that I will do this because it has to match with my own agenda, but somewhere next week I'll be making the next vlog. So see you then.